All right, y'all, welcome back to another video. My name's Trish, and on this channel we discuss all things home, all things life, and just all of the different things. Today we are giving more of life. We're going to be talking about life. So this video was actually requested by one of my good friends, and she asked me to make a video about nursing school. I've been in nursing probably for the last 10 years or so, 10 to 11 years, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've been in nursing for about 10 years. I worked in a few different specialties, but this video is specifically about how I made it through nursing school while working full time. And she asked me that and asked me if I can make it into a video. And I was like, I can just tell you, like, you know, I don't have to make a video to tell you how I made it through nursing school. But it was a great idea because I decided to make it into a video because although people may not be going to nursing school specifically, there are a lot of adults that are returning to school to just like change their profession for whatever reason, right? So this could, you know, help others. So I decided that I would make it into a video versus just telling her through text or call, going out for a girl day or whatever. So I hope this video is helpful to you guys. I am going to try to make it short and sweet because I am actually recording this while this is for the moms out there. Y'all know how it is. When you want to get stuff done, you got to do things. You got to multitask. So right now my daughter is playing softball. So that's why y'all see me like on the softball field, but we're going to get it done. So let's first and foremost, when you are trying to go back to school as an adult, it's going to take a mindset shift. That's number one. So in order to make it through nursing school, those who are going to nursing, this is specific for those going to nursing school. The programs are typically really rigorous, like it's time consuming and it's a lot to study. It's a lot to learn in a short period of time. So there's a mindset shift that has to take place. For me, what I did is I just zoned in pretty much. I got laser focused. I thought about it like this. I'm going to sacrifice for this year or 2 or 3 or whatever, you know, whatever the case is, whatever program. I can say for me, I did 2 different nursing programs. Originally, I went and I got my LPN, which was a year program. And then I went back and I went and did an LPN to RM program. So that was an additional 2 years, year and a half actually, but 2 years. So each time there was a mindset shift that had to happen. So with that being said, you kind of have to make your mind up that anything that is not tailored to the goal is not going to happen in this time period. You know, it's not 5 years, it's not 10 years, it's not 15 years. It's just this time period. And I had to make myself, I had to understand, and I think this is the biggest thing. You have to zone in on your goal. You get what I'm saying? So if school isn't your priority at this time, then school probably isn't what you should be doing at this, you know, nursing school is probably not something that you should do at this specific time because it does take a level of discipline. It takes a level of eagerness, and it takes some sacrifice. So yeah, and it really takes a level of discipline. So that to me is the mindset shift that has to take place. This is prior to even applying to school, really. This is not when you're in the program. Don't even waste your time applying if you are not mentally prepared to focus. You know what I mean? So what I did was I kind of gave myself a test run. So prior to even going to school, there's tests that you have to take. There is like some studying that you need to do. I went back as an adult. Sorry, y'all, if y'all can hear the background noise, but I went back as an adult. So I kind of put myself on that schedule. I was saying, okay, if I'm going to be working, and at the time I was working overnight. So I'm like, if I'm going to be working overnight, let me see if I'm going to be able to work and then stay up throughout the days to like get things done. Because typically before school, what I would do, I would work, I would go home, I would eat, shower, and I would go back to sleep. So if I know that I'm still going to be trying to keep this overnight schedule and still be up and focus and working through the day, I try to shift and act as if I was faking it until I made it. I was acting as if I was in nursing school and I had to stay up throughout the day and study and, you know, do those different things. And yeah, I gave myself a trial run. That didn't work out well. I was not able to work overnight 4 and 5 days a week and then still stay up throughout the day and be effective throughout the day. So that's number one. That takes me to my first point. Find a position that is flexible. So while I was in nursing school, I wasn't a certified nursing assistant, but I was a residential aide. It's similar to a CNA. So what I did was I changed my schedule. My job that I had at the time was very flexible, and I was able to work, you know, pretty much whatever hours I wanted to work. So I did dial back at the time. I worked part-time. I didn't work full-time at this time, just because that'll lead me to my next point. But just because I didn't have to work full-time hours. So I just worked part-time. I worked 2 days a week. I worked Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then every other weekend. And I worked 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So with that schedule, I was able to go to school, and my school hours were 7 to 3 and 8 to 4, depending on, you know, the clinical or whatever. Sometimes that's why I say find a job that's flexible, because the hours will change. So I worked from 7 to 3. I did school from 7 to 3, and then I would work my overnight schedule from 10 to 6. And that didn't really affect my schedule too much. But in nursing school, there are different levels. So like maybe level 1, you may have clinical from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Level 2, you may have it from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then you could have it from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you just need a job that's actually going to work with you throughout this time. I will say sometimes those, depending on your position prior to going to nursing school, that is kind of difficult. So you may have to find a program that is tailored around your current job. Instead of finding a job that's flexible, you may need to find a job that is tailored around your current job. So if you work 9 to 5, you may, you know, benefit from a night program versus a day program if your job is not going to be flexible with your schooling. But the key is to definitely find a position that is going to work with your nursing schedule. Again, find a position that is going to work with your nursing schedule. Even if it's not your current job, maybe you do become a CNA, because you know with being a CNA, you can have different it's 24 hours. You can maybe work overnight with your nursing schedule. For me, for my program was from 7 to 3 most days. Like my schooling was from 7 to 3, and then we would do clinical either during those hours, or it may be from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So what I did was I went to school from 7 to 3, and then my job at the time was from 3 to 11. But like I said, they were flexible, so they would let me come in from 4:30 to 11. So I went to school from 7 to 3, and then I would drive to my job and work from 4:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I was able to make it through the program because I had a job that was flexible. Another way to be successful while making it through the nursing program while working is to be organized. Oh my gosh, I cannot put emphasis on this enough. Be organized in the way. I'm not, even to this day, I'm not a super organized person. But when I was going through the Nordstrom, when I was going through the nursing program, I was the organization key. I was the organization queen. Do you hear me? Everything was organized. And what I did, I bought a calendar and I wrote everything down that I needed to do. So I would write 7 to 3, nursing school. I would write school. 4:30 to 11, I would write work. And then next to work, I would also write study while at work. So depending on the day, I was able to study sometimes while during that 4:30 to 11. But if I wasn't, I would even write, once I got home on my calendar, it would be, study, my hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever I was going to do that night, that would be on my calendar. And then I would write it the next day. I would write everything down. If my daughter, or at the time, if my kids had a doctor's appointment, that would go on the calendar. If I needed to get my hair done, whatever the case is, that would go on the calendar. Every single thing had to go on the calendar. And because I referred back to it every day, all day. If it wasn't on a calendar, it wasn't getting done. So in order to make it through the program, organization is the key, because you will forget things and the schedule isn't the same every single day. Some days you'll have clinical, like I said, from like the clinical hours can vary. So you don't want to just keep everything in your head. One, because you're going to be keeping all this nursing work in your head. You want to kind of free your mind of the other day-to-day things. You know what I mean? So definitely write everything down. Just be super organized, and that made a world of a difference to me. I actually need to get back to that in my day-to-day schedule today, and I would be doing something. I would say another way to be successful and make it through the nursing program while working is to have, I'm trying to find somewhere to put this water, is to have a support system. Things are going to happen. It's not like a year is going to go by and nothing is going to happen. Things are for sure going to happen, but just have a system, have a support, try to. I know it's easier said than done, but if you are a person who you can lean on people, this would be the year or 2 or 3, whatever, to lean on those people. And this is my advice. I'm not saying don't listen to me, but this is my advice. For this year, lean on them for emergencies. Lean on them for times that, like, you know you have to study. There's a big test coming up and you need to study. Lean on them in those times. Maybe for this year, if you're like a partier or if you're a person that likes to do a lot of going out and doing things, maybe for this year, don't do those things because you don't want to exhaust your support system with the fun. And then when you need them for like an emergency, they're exhausted. So yeah, for this year, make sure, year or 2, whatever the case is, have a support system in place. I know when I was going through school, my daughter was she was possibly going to have like a surgery on her eye. And in my program that I was in, you could only miss 5 days. Was it 5 or 7? It might have been 7 days. I don't know. You can only miss 7 days, no matter what it is. They didn't care. If you miss 7 days, you're out the program. So my daughter was having this surgery and I was so distraught that I could not go. She actually, hindsight, it all worked out because she didn't even need the surgery. But we were possibly talking to like eye doctors and things like that. And she was possibly going to get a surgery done. So for this, I knew I wanted to be there when she actually got the surgery. So I didn't go to the appointments leading up to it because I didn't want to miss, school for those appointments when my husband and my mom was able to attend. So just definitely have a support system in place so that like you can use them and lean on them in those times in those emergency times, because like I said, throughout the program, things are going to happen. Just prepare for them. That's all. Have something in place so that when things happen, you already have a plan, So you're not like scrambling like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You already have plan A, plan B, and plan C. Things are going to happen, just so you know. And another thing, a lot of times people, you kind of got to think, you got to be forward thinking when you're in the program. A lot of people stop while in the program for a few reasons. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's lack of support, sometimes it's not being able to like pass different tests and things like that, which in turn really falls back, and it's really because of lack of like studying and things like that, right? So in order to make it through the program and be successful in the program, like I said before, plan for those things. So let's talk about finances. So financially, if you know that you are going through the program and you are going to have to, hold on y'all. All right, so we're going to talk about finances. So like if you know you are going through the program and you are going to have to work, prior to even starting the program, you may want to make sure you have an emergency fund. Whatever that emergency fund looks like for you, make sure you have an emergency fund. For me, what I would say will be like a nice emergency fund is, if your total expenses, try to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses prior to even going to the program. So if those days, if like you're like an hourly worker and you need to call out and you don't get paid, you still have some finances to fall back on, because you don't want to be stressed about studies and stressed about finances, because it's going to be hard to focus on both. It really is. So what I like to say is what a lot of people should do, we have to learn to work towards our privilege. So if you're in a situation where you can not work for this time period, definitely not work. Sometimes we like to balance more than we need to, just because that's our comfort for this year or 2 or 3, however long the program is that you're going to be in. If you are in a position that you don't have to work, I would highly encourage not working. For me, when I was going through the program, I did work. I didn't have to work full time, so I did cut back some of my hours when need be, but I was on the schedule for full-time hours. There were some weeks that I could work full-time hours depending on my studies and what I had to do. There were some weeks that I just could not. And I was very stress-free as far as finances, not studies. I was stress-free as far as finances, because prior to starting the program, I did prepare for that. I already had money saved prior to going to the program. And then, like I said, we worked, me and my husband at the time, we worked towards our privilege. During that time, we knew that the program was only going to be a year. And what we did was we moved in with my husband's parents. We moved in with my husband's parent at the time so that we could, one, focus on our study. My husband was taking on a venture at that time also, so he wasn't even able to work as much. So we just kind of, what we would call, we stayed 10 toes down throughout that time period. So finances wasn't a issue. It was more so the studies and having the time. So definitely work to your privilege. If you're in a position where you don't have to work for this time period while doing, I'm sorry y'all, the wind is blowing, so I'm trying to like keep my hair on my face. But like I was saying, if you're in a position where you don't have to work while you're in the program, I highly encourage you to not work. If you don't have to. If you do, my suggestion would be to, prior to starting the program, just try to come up with about 3 to 6 months worth of expenses so that you're able to focus on studying and not being stressed out with finances, because we know finances, they're gonna stress you out. Okay, last but not least, I would just say, really and truly understand your why. Understand why you want to become a nurse, understand why you're going back to school, and just plan for that. Understanding your why is going to get you through the program. Whether it's you currently despise your current job, or you just want to, or you want to get into nursing for a certain specialty, whatever it is, I will say nursing is great. It's just like other jobs. Nursing has its pros and its cons, but like I said, that is a whole separate video. Let me know if y'all want that video too. But understanding your why when you're going through the program is going to help you get through it. You have to have tunnel vision. So if you know that at the end of the tunnel there is a light, your why, it makes it a lot easier, because there's going to be, like I said, there's going to be things that come up throughout the program. And in order to be successful in it and not throw in the towel, understand your why. Really tap into why you're going back to school. Just understanding that this is it's a short-term decision for a long-term gain, and act on that. You understand what I'm saying? So to sum it all up, I can't even remember the points that I told y'all, but to sum it all up, I do remember, be flexible, be flexible in yourself, and find a position, a job, like the job that you're going to work while you're in school. Make sure that job is flexible too. Even if you need to change positions, find a job that you know is going to work with your nursing schedule. You do not want to be stressed out at your current job and trying to pivot to a new position and stressed out with school and all of the things that come along with that. So definitely find a position that is flexible while you're in nursing school. You may need to give up your current full-time job and DoorDash, do Uber, like whatever it is, just during this time period so that you can make it through the program successfully. Number 2, get organized. And that's in every aspect of your life. Get organized. You don't want to be stressed out about school, because the school stress is going to happen. That's inevitable. You don't want to be stressed out about school and stressed out about, sorry y'all, trying to zoom in on here. Oh yeah, you don't want to be stressed out about school and stressed out about all the other things that's going on in life. So definitely get organized, get organized, get organized. Get a planner that is going to work for you. Write everything down. You want a time block. So from 8 a.m. to this time, I'm here. From this time to this time, I'm here. From this time to this time, I'm doing this. You want to write down doctor's appointments. You want to write down when you're going to go to sleep. You want to write down when you're going to do any extracurricular activity. You want to write it down. Have it on a calendar. That all comes with getting organized. Number 3, financially plan. So just make sure your finances are in order. If you are going to, maybe stay with family during this time, have your finances set aside that you're going to use to help out with a family member or friend or whoever it is that you're staying with, so that you're not stressed out about that. You want to, if you're going to still work full time, just make sure, like I said, kind of it's going to fall back on having some expenses, having some months of expenses saved so that you're not stressed out about work in the event that you may need to take off a day or 2 or 3 while you're in the program. So just financially have your finances in order prior to starting the program so that you're not stressed out with finances along with school, because like I said, the school stress is inevitable. And this also kind of goes with like planning financially. I think Maybe not, but work towards your privilege. So if you know you are in a position that you don't have to work while in school, I would encourage you to just, for this time period, maybe not work, or just really scale back if you are able to. If your privilege is that you have a if you have a support system, definitely lean on your support system during this time, because they are going to be needed. And like I was saying before, try not to exhaust them with all the activities that you can kind of resume after the program, and really use them for those emergencies and those times that you need to study or whatever the case is, because you don't want to exhaust your support system for things that aren't really a priority during the year. So yeah, definitely work towards your privilege. Like I said, while I was in the program, our privilege was that we did have a support system, and we were able to cut back on our finances a lot because we moved in with a family member. So definitely, if you are able to do that for this time period, definitely I would encourage you, I encourage you to do that. But whatever your privilege is at the time, lean on that, work towards your privilege. And then to, like I said, also to just sum it all up, to bring it all together, understand your why, understand why you're going back to school, understand what it is going to entail while you're in school, so that you can be successful, so that you can plan for that. Just understand your why, and just know that anything that's good is not going to happen easily. It's going to take some planning. It's going to take some grit. You're going to have to get in there, do what you got to do, study, plan, get organized, all of those things. And just, even like my shirt says, slow and steady progress. Slow and steady progress wins the race. So I wish everyone well who is changing careers. I wish my friend well who was going back to school to become a nurse. If you have any more questions, girl, definitely reach out, let me know. I love you, and I hope everyone makes the best decision for their situation. Study hard, do well, and until next time, peace.
Trish does shopping. Trish does vlogging. Trish does design. Stop by for